Oh, hi there. On Halloween 2008, the flavored tortilla chip brand Doritos released Hotel 626, a free-to-play first-person horror video game. Now, brands have made games in the past, and some, like Pepsi Man and Sneak King, have become cult classics just because of how absurd they are. But Hotel 626 was different. It was good. Like, really good. Hotel 626 and its sequel, Asylum 626, treated players to a genuinely terrifying experience that went above and beyond what was expected at the time, with innovative features that blurred the line between game and the real world. But despite this success, Hotel 626 and Asylum 626 were both taken offline in 2011 and are now considered lost media. So what happened to Hotel 626 and Asylum 626, the greatest horror games ever lost? Released on October 31st, Halloween 2008, Hotel 626 was given the tagline to honor the return of two dead flavors, meant to promote the limited time return of the Doritos flavors Jack and Smokin' Cheddar Barbecue and Black Pepper Jack. On promotional bags, you were encouraged to visit the site hotel626.com between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., the only time the games were playable, hence the name 626. Upon launching the title at the correct time, you're met with a login screen. It's all pretty standard: name, email, password, terms and conditions, but at the bottom it asks your permission to enable webcam and mic. Though this is by no means an unheard of thing for a game to ask, by clicking this box, you get to experience some of the game's most impressive features. Taking place in a Kubrick-style haunted hotel, the game is split into 10 short chapters. You're a guest at Hotel 626, woken in the middle of the night by a mysterious sound just outside your room. Upon investigation, you find the halls are crawling with an unnerving shadow as the lights flicker. A light burns out and you enter Chapter 1. One is not like the others. Via the mouse, you move down the haunted corridors, ducking into an open room just before the darkness swallows you. Chapter 2. She lives in darkness. Show her the light. You find yourself in a bathroom in complete darkness, and you are not alone. Using your digital camera, that apparently everyone in 2008 would just keep in their pockets at night, you take a photo. As the flash illuminates the room, a haunting woman is revealed, who seems to be afraid of the light. Using your headphones, you have to determine where the woman is and get a direct shot of her with the camera's flash, resulting in one of the game's most iconic jump scares. Escaping the bathroom, you find a stairwell, level 3, just in time. Rushing down the stairs, the shadows seem to be moving closer to you. After many flights of stairs, you're relieved to find a door, but this relief quickly fades as you find yourself in an identical hallway that started your journey. Running through the halls, you find another open door. Part 4. Sing Me a Lullaby. Peeking into the room, you find it eerily empty. On the floor is a small child sleeping as the music box plays. But when you approach, the music stops, and the child starts to squirm. You must gently sing into your microphone to put the baby to sleep. Too loud or too quiet, and the baby wakes up. Once the child is sound asleep and you move to leave, the floorboards creak loudly. You must carefully walk away from the possessed child. If you fail at any point, you'll get another terrifying jump scare. Upon leaving the room, you are knocked unconscious from behind. Chapter 6. Helpless. As you're dragged through the halls of the hotel, half-conscious, some of the doors are open, revealing haunting, shadowy figures. Regaining consciousness, you begin Chapter 7. He Knows the Way. Locked in a small room with a man in a straitjacket, you have to examine the walls for clues to escape as the man shouts nonsense. The clues are easy to decipher, but they give you 5 numbers when you only need 3, requiring you to listen to the man in the straitjacket to figure out the order. To make things even more difficult, the answers change depending on your playthrough. If you fail twice, the man escapes from the straitjacket and it's game over. Having made your escape, you find your way to the next room. Chapter 8. Find yourself a way out. This room is filled with Polaroid photos strung across the ceiling, with faces of other people who have played Hotel 626. So back near the beginning of the game, during one of its jump scares, the game takes a picture of you through your webcam, and you have to find your own photo among the others in the room. Finding the photo leads to Chapter 9. Answer and you'll have the answers. Here you find a ringing phone. The game prompts you to enter your real phone number, and if you do, you will get a real phone call that guides you out of the hotel and to the final chapter. Checkout time is now. Finally outside the hotel, you sprint to your car, starting the engine, ready to leave this nightmare behind. But in the rearview mirror, you find that your torment is not yet over. With any other game, when the credits roll, that's where things end. And while this experience is full of memorable moments, what happens when the player walks away from their computers left a lasting impression on anyone who played this game. By some reports, as late as 2 weeks after playing the game, you would again receive a real phone call telling you that you never escaped Hotel 626, and there's no way out. This freaked out players so much that there were reports of people calling the police after receiving this creepy phone call in the middle of the night. Hotel 626 has less than 15 minutes of gameplay, but they made every moment count. And through word of mouth, Hotel 626 became a massive success, with over 20 million visitors to the site, and with minimal branding from Doritos throughout the game, is still credited with selling over 2 million bags of chips in just 3 weeks. In the months following the release of Hotel 626, in February 2009, Doritos released a promotional short video. The video is framed as a documentary about a group of Swedish scientists commissioned by Doritos to study the effects of Hotel 626 on human test subjects. And during the video's final experiment, showing someone playing the camera level of the hotel with the possessed woman, during the test, the lights go out in the entire facility. The documentary crew turns on the camera's lights, and the possessed woman from the game appears in the lab. When the lights turn back on, the test subject and the woman have both disappeared, and the documentary crew is forced to leave. But in another great marketing move, this video references its still unreleased follow-up.
This is the water tank experiment. It's the wrong room.
Asylum 626. Asylum 626 was released on October 31st, 2009, just a year after Hotel 626. For the sequel, the game developers were not content with just reusing the same features. They got rid of the microphone, turned the webcam into a motion controller, and scrapped the post-game phone call. But these lost features were replaced with something even more devious. Asylum 626 also begins on a login screen, but this time asks your permission to connect your Facebook and Twitter accounts for the full experience. And just like his predecessor, Asylum 626 is not content with letting the game end when the credits roll. The text of the login screen fades to reveal the player's eyes wrapped in bandages. The bandages are removed by a doctor, the same doctor from the Hotel 626 promotional video. You're lying on a surgical table in a mental asylum, being experimented on as creepy images flash by. The POV abruptly shifts to a child playing on the floor as their parents argue in the next room. Suddenly, a man with a chainsaw enters your home. You hide in a closet as your parents scream, murdered in the next room. The chainsaw man approaches the closet, stabbing and swiping at your hiding place. To avoid the attack, you must move your head accordingly as the webcam tracks your movement. But no matter how well you do, he eventually gets you. Flashing immediately back to the asylum as the experiments continue. Disturbing imagery flashes again, and you're transported to a bathroom. A voice says, "By looking closely, you can truly see." You find a sink full of black water. As you get closer, you see your own reflection in the liquid coming from your webcam. As you move your head closer to the camera, a hand reaches out of the water and grabs you. Back to the asylum, you flatline and have to be resuscitated. Drifting in and out of consciousness, you are carted through the halls of the asylum, placed in a holding cell with other inmates who are not friendly. With your flashlight, you illuminate the room to scare them away, but you're helpless as they eventually all attack you at once. Regaining consciousness, you find yourself in a room full of flickering monitors. The monitors show 2 patients in the asylum. These patients are friends from your Facebook account. You have to decide which to save and who needs further treatment. The monitors begin flashing the Doritos logo. At this point, in order to progress, you have to hold up an infrared code to your webcam that you found on a promotional bag of Doritos. This allows you to access the final part of the game. In this brief, barely interactive scene, the player is now in charge of the asylum, torturing the doctor who tortured you throughout your playthrough, and taking his place as head of the asylum. The game ends with the next victim lying on the operating table as you approach. The common consensus online is that Asylum 626 is not as good as Hotel 626. And I agree to some extent. The scares were not as creative, it was much shorter, and you had less control over the character. But there's one final feature that I think really brings this game to the next level. Like I mentioned, Asylum 626 begins on a login screen that asks to connect to your Facebook and Twitter accounts. And at the end of the game, when you have to choose which of your Facebook friends lives and which one dies, the game makes a post from your account notifying everyone of your decision. And on Twitter, the game sends out a tweet from your account saying you are in dire need of help, and a link to play the game. But this link leads to a different perspective of the chainsaw scene, where they can try to scare the murderer away while you're hiding in the closet. And even though this game is not as beloved as Hotel 626, its most controversial feature, making you actually go buy a bag of chips to finish the game, seems to have made it more profitable than Hotel 626. With Asylum being credited with selling over 5 million bags of Doritos, over twice the amount of its predecessor. These games were free to play for over 2 years, until without warning, sometime around December 2011, both Hotel 626 and Asylum 626 were quietly removed from the internet. Once it was realized that the games were taken offline, theories and urban legends were abound as to why these games are now lost. Some thought maybe the game was hacked and the hacker got a hold of everyone's phone numbers, or that the game was too scary and forced to be taken down amid lawsuits, or that there were lawsuits over the phone calls themselves. But it seems that when the hype died down, it became accepted that the games were a marketing campaign, and once the campaign was over, the games had served their purpose and were taken down. But it seems like there was more to these rumors than was commonly believed. Legal paperwork was discovered showing that 4 different watchdog groups filed a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, against Doritos and their parent company, PepsiCo, accusing them of deceptive marketing practices, calling out Hotel 626 and Asylum 626 by name. The documents cite a clear marketing effort towards teenagers with these games, pressuring kids to buy food with little to no nutritional value that contributes to obesity. The complaint takes issue with the auto-generated social media posts that the game creates on behalf of the player that make little to no attempt to clarify that this is part of a marketing campaign. And on top of that, they say that in the terms and conditions of the game, it's not made clear that they will use your personal information to endorse this game through social media. And they did not adequately explain the extent to which the games would use your personal information. Now, major companies face consumer complaints constantly, so it doesn't necessarily mean that the games were taken down because of this lawsuit until you look at the date the complaint was filed, October 2011, just months before the games were wiped from the internet. It turns out the features that made Hotel 626 and Asylum 626 so unique and memorable would prove to be their downfall. And since the games were taken down, there has been no other way to play these titles. There are rumors of a torrent of Hotel 626. You can find it online, but I couldn't get it to work, and others have had the same experience. If you do try to play this game, make sure to use a virtual machine, because it looks kind of shady to me. That's the story of Hotel 626 and Asylum 626, what are in my opinion the greatest horror games ever lost. Let me know if you were ever able to play these games in the 2 years they were available. And a big shout out to my top tier Patreon supporters. Can you say Rocco Mafleur, Utterly Happy, Vinny Cataldo, Miss Dana, and Odessa Honeycrisp? Thank you so much. This is Mike with All Things Lost. I'll see you soon.